Super Mega Shock Neogeo!
What is up everyone, my name's from Games Room, and today we're taking a look at a Fatal Fury collection on the Sega Dreamcast. It's bringing all of the best from all of the different systems all in one place on the Sega Dreamcast. Now if you're a Fatal Fury fan, I think you're going to love this. Let's just deep dive straight into it. Let's take a look. Yes, so that's it. This is another Shindougo collection, that's right, and it is the Fatal Fury collection. Now don't get me wrong, I've never been a massive beat-em-up fan, or I should say a fighting fan. I've never been very good at them, so yes, you're going to see throughout any of the games I'm playing here, I'm not very good at them. Not for that should really matter for a review. Anyway, we're starting off with the credits page, which essentially shows all of the different people who can kind of be credited for the help and work that's been done in this collection, be it different emulators, music, etc. So straight off the bat, let's take a look at the music as well, which let me tell you, I love this part because you never have this in any other collections. That's what makes these collections so great to me. If it's real fan service, it's bringing everything that you want in a collection in a collection. The other thing obviously being the awesome Japanese ads. They're always great. I love that, you know, because this feels like history in a box. Does that make sense? Let's take a look at one. Neogeo CD 野郎伝説 3S. Anyway, now it's time to take a look at the actual games here. There is so many systems: Beats of Rage, Game Gear, Game Boy, Genesis, Neogeo, Neogeo Pocket, NES, Snes. That's a lot of systems all jam-packed into one big collection. Obviously, if you are burning this to a disc, which you absolutely should do, make sure to overburn it, otherwise it won't work. Emulation-wise, it works, all bar it won't work for the Genesis version. Which, you know, it's a shame, but ultimately that's because the emulator itself doesn't work on emulators. So, yes, here we go. Let's take a look at the first Beats of Rage here. This is cool. So yes, I guess straight off the bat, this is going to look, when you actually see it shortly, it doesn't feel like Fatal Fury, but it does, and it doesn't. Does that make sense? It's Fatal Fury, but in the universe, because it's not a true just a beat 'em up. Well, I guess it is a beat 'em up. It's just not a fighter, if that makes sense. It's not kind of Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat style. It is more literally Streets of Rage style, which is cool, and I love it when this kind of thing happens because it kind of almost gives a new spin on the franchise itself. Does that make sense? I mean, you can clearly see the sprites have been lifted from, I'm pretty sure, the arcade versions, because when he's walking, it kind of almost looks like he's actually, I don't know, getting ready to fight. Does that make sense? Like he's kind of prepping himself. So there is that, but, you know, it kind of works. Like I said, I think the thing is with this, it's just adding more gameplay to the characters you love, and the fact it's working really, really well is another great thing. It's a standard hit crates, get stuff, beat people up, move on to the next screen. That's really what it is, and then obviously boss fights at the end of pretty much each level. So hey, I like this one, and it actually works, like I said, pretty damn seamlessly for a Beats of Rage. You know, some of them have been a bit hit or miss, you know, through the years, but they are getting a lot better thanks to Ian Michael's Dream Bore engine. Next up, it is time for the Game Gear. Now, the Game Gear is a thing that, like I said, over the years we haven't seen a whole lot of until now. Yes, that's right, it's Fatal Fury Special on the Sega Game Gear. Now, I never actually owned a Game Gear, but there are some pretty damn decent titles for it. Yes, it is only an 8-bit system, but what you get out of that system is pretty damn impressive. Now, obviously, you've seen Gunstar Heroes on the last collection, which was released a week ago, looking absolutely incredible, and it's great how they kind of they are downgrading these original titles and still maintaining a lot of the play style. Yes, this is obviously only 2 buttons. For a fighter, that's usually an issue, but for a game like this, I mean, it kind of works. I mean, like I said, I'm not very good at them, and I was kind of button bashing the entire way, but I still managed to play the game and kind of enjoy it. For me, visually, it's the music, the way this looks, and yeah, it's the arcade style. It all works, and at the end of the day in the arcade, sometimes you've only got 2 buttons anyway. So yes, it kind of works for the hardware limitations that are obviously there. Oh yes, it's Game Boy time, and let's see what you think. Yes, so the actual emulation here for the Game Boy is pretty much on point. There kind of is a little bit of stuttering here or there, I think, with the audio, but it's not massively noticeable. I mean, to be fair, barely at all. So it plays really, really well. Don't get me wrong, though. I probably wouldn't play this one. I mean, yeah, I think the Game Gear version of Fatal Fury was far better than the Game Boy version. This just doesn't feel like it should actually be on the system. It's the same when you see Mortal Kombat on the Game Boy. I just don't feel that it really needs to be there or really works. But hey, it's here nonetheless, and it does work. Next up, it's the one that, yeah, has got to be the best one, right? It's the Sega Genesis version, and it's the one I was most hyped to play. Because obviously the emulation it's been pretty good up to this point in the collections, but this is where I really wanted to see it shine. Fast movement, it's a fighter. How well does it actually play and sound and look? Now, ignore the kind of little bit of audio issues there, because when you actually get into the gameplay, you're going to see exactly how well this actually does play. Yes, again, it's never 100%, or really isn't at the moment 100%, but it's about 90-95% there. To the point where the actual play style actually looks smooth, it looks vibrant, and it works really, really well. I don't think this is running at 60 frames per second, but, you know, it is very, very serviceable and very, very playable. And I think ultimately, if you just wanted to play a bit of Fatal Fury Genesis games, then I think this is going to be pretty damn good. It's pretty damn serviceable. I had no real issues, don't get me wrong. Again, I'm not good at playing it, so ultimately, it looks like I actually don't have a clue what I'm doing. I mean, to be fair, I'm not sure I really do anyway. But yes, I think, as you can see, visually, pretty good. It's not far off the arcade version, yes. 16-bit, don't get me wrong. It's not going to be like the Neogeo version, like you're going to see in a minute, because let me tell you, that's probably the version you're going to want to play. But I think still very, very serviceable for a 16-bit console. Yeah, I actually quite like this, and I was glad I got to play it, because, like I said, ultimately I am a Sega fanboy, and being able to play this, the Genesis version on the Dreamcast, just makes sense, right? It's good. I like this one. And we are on to the Neogeo Pocket, a console I've never actually owned in my entire life, although I actually did want one at one point. I kind of did save up money for quite some time to actually get one, and then I didn't. Anyway, yeah, great story, right? Anyway, so this is it, Fatal Fury again, different Fatal Fury game on the Neogeo Pocket. Nice little selection of characters, there's 8 characters to play, and again, I mean, this does beat the Game Boy version. I'm still not sure it beats the Game Gear version. I actually really like the Game Gear version, but again, nice little fun one. I like the art style with this. It actually feels kind of anime, kind of cartoony style. I like this. Audio's pretty good. There's a tiny bit of screen tear here and there, but again, some pretty good emulation for the Neo Geo Pocket on the Sega Dreamcast. Nes time, that's right, Nes emulation to this point has been pretty good. How well does it handle here? Okay, so yes, the NES emulation is pretty much damn well on point, but the problem is, I actually think this game is pretty damn dire. I don't like the NES version of this game. I think it looks rubbish in the sense of visuals. Yes, it's an 8-bit system, but so was the Game Gear, and ultimately I feel like this was a bit of a lazy port, but here, it's here nonetheless, and it makes up that collection, right? Yes, so this is what we're all talking about, the Neo Geo version. Yes, although there was a small bit of, audio issues, the audio isn't 100% with this, but visually, I actually think this has to be the best in the collection. It's the Neo Geo at the end of the day. It is the more powerful console on the Dreamcast here, and it's emulating pretty damn well. Yes, I'd say pretty damn arcade perfect. Kind of makes sense, right? It is the Neo Geo. And, yeah, like I said, visually, sound effects, controls, it's all pretty damn fluid. Yes, again, I'm not convinced it's sort of 60 frames per second here, but again, hey, this has to be the best game or the best console within this collection. Mainly because it really is basically arcade perfect, right? And yeah, this is what you should be playing this collection for. If you're a fan of Fatal Fury, these are the ones you're going to be playing, and it just makes sense. I really don't blame you. Now it is Super Nintendo time. Now, SNES emulation, again, can be hit or miss. Again, though, pretty good. I mean, there has been some issues with them in the past, but yes, I actually think it's pretty good. Sound, visuals, control style, all very, very good. Although, like I said, I keep talking about control style, but I just can't get used to it anyway because I'm not very good at these games. I actually have to say though, this is better looking than the Genesis version, which kind of saddens me to say because obviously, like I said, I'm a Sega fanboy, not a Super Nintendo fanboy, but I'm looking this with, you know, reviewer's eyes, and it plays well. It sounds pretty decent. It is a decent port. Either way, I think this is probably one of the better 16-bit versions on this collection. It's pretty decent. As you can see, these collections really are coming on leaps and bounds. Like I said, if there's a collection that you want, drop a comment, because obviously Shindougo does read all of the comments. So if there's one out there and he thinks, I'll tell you what, that's a good idea, it might just make your dreams come true. As always, like, comment and subscribe. Is Al signing out.